Hello, I will be reacting to I Hate Everything's Star Wars prequel rant. Enjoy.
I fucking hate the Star Wars prequels more than life itself. But
You hate the Star Wars prequels more than you hate life itself? Either that's an exaggeration or you got some issues.
why? What makes them so bad? I hate these movies with such a passion that I find it difficult to put thoughts to words on why they're so completely and utterly wrong. Well, clearly there are a lot of reasons as to why, but let's boil it down into the 5 major things that ultimately are the reason that these films are so fucking appalling. Number 5.
Ooh, what's number 5? Do tell what the reason is.
Special effects are just a tool, a means of telling us.
Oh my gosh, is he gonna complain about the CGI? Really?
Story. People have a tendency to confuse them as an end to themselves. A special effect without a story is a pretty boring thing. A special effect without a story is
Called it. He was gonna bitch about the CGI.
a pretty boring thing. A special effect without a story is a pretty boring thing. A special effect without a story is a pretty boring thing.
Wait, did he just forget that he said that or what? It's pretty ironic that the original films from 30 years ago actually hold up better and are more convincing than the sickening, sleek, fake, clean-looking prequels. This isn't Star Wars. This isn't Star Wars.
How is it not Star Wars? Oh, just because it's not like the originals, so it's not Star Wars. Oh. Shut up.
This is Star Wars. I'm not sure if it was through pure laziness or just because Lucas wanted to push the boundaries of special effects, but the end.
That's exactly what he wanted to do. He wanted to push the boundaries of special effects, stupid.
Result just doesn't work. Some of the
How does it not work?
effects look so bad now that they make you fit.
Well, this is the fucking 90s. 1999. This was mind-blowing back in the day. So, it's like comparing Atari 2600 graphics to PlayStation 4 graphics. You can't compare something like that.
Physically cringe and disgust of how blatant and on the nose they are. He's so obsessed with cramming pointless shit into every single scene, but there is never a clean looking shot. Whether it's some awful looking creatures bumbling around in the desert, pointless droids
Pointless droids?
flying around doing menial tasks, or the atrocious use of green screens
Pointless animals? Pointless droids? Have you ever heard of a thing called world building? What an idiot.
everywhere to project an entirely fake looking background. It just looked bad. Nothing feels real, and it makes it already
Well, it's not supposed to be real.
stupid story appeal even more bare and like a cheap cartoon. I mean, look at this piss poor compositing of the clone trooper's real face onto the crappy looking
That looks pretty good to me. It doesn't look that bad.
CG body. Would it really have been that hard to make one simple outfit for him to wear for that one shot? The clothes look like they're made out of fucking plasticine. You know, at least if the films looked good, you might be able to excuse everything else
They do look
that
good.
doesn't work. But it's nothing more than icing on the cake for why these films suck sweaty Gungan balls.
Okay. I find it so hypocritical how all these freaking prequel haters complain about the CGI. Those effects, like I said, were top notch back in the day. And The Phantom Menace used just as many practical effects as the originals. And the amount of CGI that the prequels used, especially The Phantom Menace, was no different than any other 90s CGI film. And funny thing is, you complain about the overuse of CGI. Well, guess what? There are films today, and that came afterwards, that use more CGI than the prequels. So how come you're not complaining about that, dumbass? What's his next reason for why the Prequels suck.
Number 4. Yoda was so fucking perfect. When he originally tricks Luke and fucks around with him, when he reveals that he's the most powerful Jedi in the universe,
He is powerful, but he's not the most powerful Jedi in the universe.
teaching Luke to not judge a book by its cover, they're my favourite scenes from the movies. Too bad Lucas clearly doesn't understand what makes Yoda work so well. Instead assuming that everyone wanted to see him fight with a mini green lightsaber and comically fling around like a frog.
Okay, that kind of looks a little bit ridiculous today, but I fail to see how that ruins Yoda.
Why would he even use a lightsaber at all?
Because he's a Jedi. Part of being a Jedi is learning to use a lightsaber. Yes, he's more of a Force wielder, but like I said, using a lightsaber and defending yourself is part of frickin' Jedi training.
At least do something creative with his powers if you want him to fight so bad. It would make far more sense and fit in with his character if he just levitated slightly off the ground and used the Force to defend against any attacks. Well, you know what? How about this? You don't have him fighting at all. It's completely unnecessary and unimportant.
How is it unnecessary? He's a Jedi frickin' Knight. Sometimes they have to use the Force to defend themselves.
He never even trains Luke to use a lightsaber. He tries to teach him to be calm, peaceful, and passive.
A Jedi uses the Force
Let me go on.
for knowledge and defense, never for attack.
Well, that's exactly what he's doing. If you're trying to illustrate the point that, oh, he's using it for attack. Nope. What Yoda's doing there in this scene just illustrates that he's using the Force for knowledge and defense. He's defending himself against Dooku's attacks.
Lucas even fucked up the classic backwards way he talks. It was used just enough in the originals to be charming and different, not...
Well, look. He's an alien. Not everyone is going to speak, galactic basic in Star Wars perfectly.
Not every fucking line was out of order. It's like what some clueless child who can't comprehend any level of subtlety would do if they had to write him into a movie.
And then he pulled out a little green lightsaber, then jumped around fighting Count Dooku. And then he throws a lightsaber at a clone and runs up to him and pulls it right out. It's really cool.
He took something
Who cares?
special and turned it into a cartoonish caricature that you laugh at instead. Not to mention
I'm not laughing at anything.
that being trained by Yoda is actually completely boring and uninteresting.
How is it boring and uninteresting? They're not showing all the training. It's just a little small part.
When you saw the originals and they mentioned being trained by Yoda, you imagine something one-on-one, similar to like how he trained Luke. Not a cramped room filled with countless fucking stupid kids, who all use those stupid robots that Han Solo happened to have lying around in the Falcon to train them to reflect projectiles.
He didn't happen to have it lying around. I'm pretty sure that Obi-Wan Kenobi brought that with him.
Fuck off, movie. Jesus Christ. No.
Fuck you. Oh, what's his next reason?
Number 3. As if ruining Yoda, Boba Fett, Darth Vader, Obi-Wan, Jabba, C-3PO, R2-D2, and lightsabers wasn't...
None of those characters were ruined, you dumbass. And lightsabers were not ruined either.
enough. We also had to have one of the most magical parts of Star Wars utterly destroyed by a pointless over-explanation of the Force. Sometimes not...
Okay. If you're talking about the midichlorians, it didn't ruin anything. It didn't ruin the Force. Midichlorians are not the fucking Force.
Knowing the answer to something makes it that much more intriguing and special. Explaining that the Force is actually a life form called fucking midichlorians...
The Force is not midichlorians. The Force... Oh no, midichlorians are like antennas that allow you to feel the Force. Receivers are antennas. The more you have in your blood, the stronger the connection to the Force. Dumbass. Stupid dumbass casual fan doesn't even understand Star Wars lore.
And that Yoda has to teach you how to turn into a ghost? It's just shining a light onto something.
Turning into a ghost is a Force ability. It's not something that you have automatically, dumbass.
It's already pretty stupid, but you don't think about it because it's fucking Star Wars. Our suspension of disbelief is already pretty high with these movies, but adding on this fake science and wasting our time with multiple dumb scenes dedicated to it is probably one of the biggest fuck yous of the entire prequel trilogy.
No, fuck you. Alright, what's he gonna...
Number 2. As much as I love robots, monsters, spaceships, and cool vehicles and things, the overdone special effects and visual design is so cartoony and fake.
Again, you're complaining about the CGI again. It's the same thing as before. Again, Episode 3 still looks really good, and again, this is older, so of course it might look a little bit aged. And what about the over-animation in modern movies? Huh?
The prequels feel more like an episode of the Clone Wars than a real movie.
Not really. I don't know what you're talking about.
On the whole no subtlety thing, everything is so hilariously over-animated that nothing feels real. It's not a coincidence that Gollum works so well in comparison with something like Jar Jar, because not only are those movies good, which does help, but Gollum
Both Lord of the Rings and the prequels are good. Shut up.
actually moves and looks like something that could exist. This just looks shit. It's always bothered me.
It looked good for its time. Again, you're just complaining about the CGI again. Shut
How
up.
the prequel universe feels completely detached and different from the original universe.
It's not so, again, you're complaining, it's not like the originals, it's not like the originals. Shut up.
Could you imagine a shitty looking Dexter Jetster walking around Tatooine? Me neither.
Yes, I could imagine him walking around Tatooine.
Because it's fucking awful. Come to think of it, besides Tatooine in the original trilogy, there really wasn't that much crazy monster stuff. Sure, you had your Admiral Akbars and Ewoks, but that's why they're memorable. No one remembers this thing, or one of these assholes. When I sat down to watch the prequels again...
It's called world building, stupid. Ever heard of that?
To refresh myself for this video, it became immediately apparent that nearly every scene has a new type of creature or vehicle, purely so it could be sold as a toy.
For world building purposes, dumbass.
You wanted the Millennium Falcon because it was so awesome, not because they awkwardly and pointlessly crammed it into one shot from a forgettable scene. Number 1. Look, if it wasn't for this number 1 thing, then none of these films would ever have been a problem. And we could actually have 6 great Star Wars films overall.
We do have 6 great Star Wars films. Shut up.
Imagine that. But the biggest crime of these fucking movies is the sloppy, piss-poor, shitty writing. George Lucas shines as an idea man. Someone who can offer interesting characters, ideas, and elements. But he doesn't know when to...
Okay, again, George Lucas did try to do a lot of the things he did himself, or he tried to do everything himself. But he is a great idea man, and you can see it in the prequels with the world
dial
building.
it back. He needs to be paired with someone who can filter him, turn moronic ideas down, edit his bullshit. I think people forget that he didn't actually direct Empire or Jedi, and I think it's safe to assume that those movies would have been a complete mess if he was given the same freedom he had for the prequels. At this point, I'm just kind of sick of saying Star Wars and prequel over and over again. You know,
I'm sick of your bitching.
Suck. I don't need to explain anything more to you. Well, there it fucking is. Been what, 4 years since I promised to make this video in junction with the things these movies did right?
What an idiot. Alright, this was for you, Latvian Dragon. So, have a good day, people.